call the meeting to order. Mr. Oliver, would you give us a prayer this morning?
Sure will. Lord, we thank you this morning for the opportunity to come together and to make decisions in the best interest of the students and faculty and staff at St. Pete College. We appreciate the fine day that you prepared for us here, and again, the opportunity to get together. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance. Thank you and good morning. If you would, you have the preliminary matters with some presentations by Dr. Lowe.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just on agenda matters, as a courtesy to our guest, I would like to ask if item 8, informational reports, a partner update, Dr. Allison DeFore. Mr. Chairman, can we find a spot for that at the toward the beginning of the meeting, perhaps after preliminary matters? And
Yes, sir, we can move it up to
Okay, if
where
you'll just
board chair
handle
is
that.
under comments.
all right, thank you very much. This morning's resolution is Sharon Mcmanus. Oh, my. How are you? Good to see you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
But now this one, it's not quite done yet, right? Is that the way, did they tell me
Well,
Friday?
yeah, Friday was
Okay.
my last day.
Oh, okay, good enough. I thought we were juggling you a little bit, okay. Sharon Mcmanus began her career as a senior staff assistant in the provost office at the St. Petersburg Gibbs campus in 2003. And whereas Ms. McManus then spent 1 year working as PeopleSoft functional specialist, training college staff and faculty to utilize PeopleSoft processes. She worked at the help desk from October 2005 to February 2006 before becoming the academic staff assistant in the Nursing Continuing Education Health Program, where she continued to serve the college for 8 additional years. And whereas Ms. McManus is a dedicated and organized person, always willing to give her best to the college family, and whereas Ms. McManus is charismatic and creative and has enjoyed participating in little theater productions, Second Time Arounders Marching Band, and her church choir, now therefore be it resolved that the St. Petersburg College Board of Trustees and the total college community hereby recognize and appreciate the outstanding contributions to the college and to the community by Sharon McManus and extend to her our best wishes for enjoyment throughout the years ahead, said resolution being adopted and approved by the Board of Trustees, St. Petersburg College, this 18th day of February. Hear, hear.
Thank you.
Congratulations. That's so cool. You did that. Let's step over here and do our picture.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Okay,
Okay.
take care.
Go Titans.
Whoops. We will now open it up to any public speakers, any public comment. No public comment. We'll move on. Mr. DeFore, you're up. Welcome.
It's a pleasure.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
We were wondering whether you're going to have shorts on or not.
I don't know all the members of your board well enough to do that yet. But, in Tallahassee, I would have no problem doing it. as
For
most
the
of you
benefit
know.
of our audience, Dr. DeFore had a previous lifetime in Key West, and he reminds us of that regularly with his attire.
And of course, I know your chairman from very long ago, and your president from long ago. I bring you greetings from Tallahassee Community College, where I serve as a trustee and was chairman during the time period when Bill was in dance with you, and of course had to keep the light on in the window in case the dance hadn't worked out. So, but it did work out, and so we're very pleased to be here with all of you. And I'm particularly pleased because this is kind of a homecoming for me. My grandfather's grandfather was O'Day Philippe, as in Felipe Park, which is a couple of miles from here. We were the first European settlers in this county, and literally this campus saved my life. I went to the University of Florida right out of a little school in Tampa and bombed out on my butt and came back here I wish I could say I came here for the academics. I came here from Tampa because it was halfway to the beach, and the girls were, I thought, were prettier than Hillsborough Community College. But I have 5 academic degrees later to stand upon this foundation, and I'm extremely grateful. I was just talking with your development director. We've got the same problem at TCC. We never ask our alumni for checks, and I can assure you, if you ever ask, I would give you one, because everything that I ever amounted to, including teaching at Yale, came out of this place, and I'm grateful.
Thank you.
What we are, and I want to say thanks, we are in partnership with you at Florida State University's Institute of Government, the John Daly School of Institute of Government there, Baylor University, which has an Institute of Pro-Social Behavior, which sounds unusual, except 98% of what we study in criminology and sociology has to do with antisocial behavior. And somebody at Baylor, a guy named Byron Johnson, came up with the idea that we should study maybe more than 2% what works. And Tallahassee Community College and St. Petersburg College. And we're all in partnership studying what's going on in criminal justice. Big picture, what's going on in criminal justice is simply this. We believe that what has gone through hospitals and schools in the last 30 years is getting ready to go through the criminal justice system. 30 years ago, if you had gone to a hospital administrator or a high school principal and said, show me your results, they would have said, do you have a subpoena? And if you'd have said no, they'd have said, get off my property. And today, before you go in for a major surgery, you can find out the MRSA rates and the success rates for just about anything you want to before you go in. The high schools, you can talk all day long about what's going to be tested, but something's going to be tested, and it's going to be transparent. Right now, if you went to the courthouse and started asking prosecutors and judges about the results of their work, they would look at you like you were from Mars. And that conversation is getting ready to change, and it has to change. We're 5% of the world's population. We're 25% of the world's prisoners. We spend about as much money, general revenue, on higher education, the state university system in Florida, as we do on corrections. So this thing's got to be headed in a different direction. 740 per 100,000 is our rate of incarceration in the United States. In most of the civilized countries, it's down around 100. In the countries we sneer at, like Cuba and Iran and Russia, it's in the 500s, and we're in the 700s. So it's an unsustainable pattern. And education is a huge part of how we're going to break that out. We're doing a lot of different things, but the main thing we are trying to do at the Project on Accountable Justice is to quantify it, because we think ultimately if we can look at what works and prove what works, we can get to it, and then we can do more of it and do less of what doesn't work. Seems pretty simple. We asked you to come into this partnership a year ago, and you did. You brought money, and you brought talent. We've enjoyed tremendously working with your people. Deborah Boyle has been a gem to work with when we can barely catch up with your president. Jeff Kronschnabel and David Clement have been wonderful. Jim Oliver and Tom Furlong and Susan Demers have been great partners, and we have put on a number of fora here at St. Petersburg College, at your Public Policy Institute, and we even put on one at Florida State University, which to the best of my knowledge is the first time that anybody in the college system has come up to the state capitol and put on a forum like that. So you were the first. I don't know, Bill may have been around a lot longer than I have, but that kind of turf invasion is unusual. And we've begun to move the needle. We produced a number of reports. A lot of this stuff in public policy tends to get squishy. We don't want to go down that road. I am very much a praxis-oriented guy. I've been and done everything there is to be or do in the justice system except be a felony defendant and a probation officer. And I was a judge and a public defender and a prosecutor and a sheriff in my county and a law professor and everything else. And we want to keep this on making things happen. And we have. We've had a tremendous impact on the dialogue on juvenile justice rewrite and the reframing of those policies going forward, which is sort of the entrance into the snake. We think that this thing's like a snake. If you cut the head off and the tail off, you can deal with it. And the head is juveniles coming into the system. If you go in, you've got a 75% likelihood of staying in. If you go through civil citation, diversion, you've got an 89% chance of never coming back. So we found what works, and we're doing more of it. At the tail end, you've got recidivism factors like jobs, education, drug treatment, things, faith and character-based prisons that we have a lot of in Florida, things that we know and quantify can work, and we're working on those as well. We've ended up deeply involved with the legislative session going in, and should be producing some results that will be quantifiable in statute over the year to come. We're looking at some things in the year to come. We're looking at one in particular that I think might be of interest to you, is looking at the aging of the population in the prisons. We've got a population that the average age now is creeping up pretty rapidly, and at the rate we're going, we should have some very, very large nursing homes, frankly, operating before too long. And what to do with that population, because the cost per defendant to deal with it is about $20,000 per person a year in the regular system. It can go as high as $100,000 per when you start talking about an aging population, and Medicaid and Medicare don't kick in if you're in prison. So we've got some real serious public policy issues to deal with here. And that all being said, I want to stress, I ain't no liberal. I was sheriff of my county and was vice chairman of the Republican Party of Florida. So I'm coming at this from a statistically driven what works point of view, not some squishy stuff. So with that said, we are delighted to have been your partner for the last year, and we would hope that you might consider being our partner in the coming year, and we would hope that you would increase your level of participation, which was, I think, modest, and frankly, the results were very pleasing at our end, and I hope it's pleasing at yours. Thank you very much, and I'll answer any questions.
Any board members have any questions? Dr. Law?
I've described it, first of all, Alice and I are good friends for now 10, 12 years, maybe longer.
We didn't start out that way. We were rivals for the presidency of
That's right.
TCC. We were both finalists.
That's correct. I had forgotten that part.
He whipped my butt.
Well, for us, it was a natural coming together. Again, the personal respect I have for Allison, you should know that he has done prison ministry work over a long period of time. He has done restorative justice issues and those sorts of things. For us, it's very simple. One, we want programs to come to our institute that matter in our community. So content is always king at the institute. What are the things people are interested in? And we think this is one of those issues. And then secondly, as you know, I'm always focused on opportunities for students. And Jeff Grunschnabel, working with Allison and others, we think this is a doorway to public policy access to some of the best public policy work in this particular area, and we hope other areas, for our institute and our students in our public policy administration program. So I think it's a natural fit. I think there's almost no downside. There's always some upside, and I think this is what good colleges do, is to bring content to the table and let people debate it and drive the ball forward. So, Allison, I will be bringing a recommendation to the board. I appreciate your being here today. That recommendation is not ready for today. We'll get it in the budget cycle, though, and we have enjoyed our work with you. You've been very kind to make sure the light shines on us as we've worked together.
Jeff and Bill both have been very focused about making sure this stays student-focused, and your students have been at all the fora. We would like to be your outpost in Tallahassee for your students to come and appreciate. As Deveron knows well and Bill knows from their days in Tallahassee, you can do more public policy going to lunch, walking down Adams Street, running into people in half an hour than you could do from many places in the state with diligence over a month. And it's just an accident of bumping into people. But we're delighted to be your northernmost branch. Thank you.
Thanks, Allison.
Allison, thank you for coming.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you
Chairman.
for your commitment to the state of Florida. You've been serving a long time, and if I had my choice, you would have been Attorney General, but
You know, it's funny, I came to Tallahassee to be Attorney General, and I ended up as an Episcopal priest doing prison ministry. I have no idea what happened to me.
thank you, Allison. Thank
Thank
you so much. Any comments from any board members?
Yes, he offered us money, so we need to go back to that.
All right.
We have several buildings that we're looking to fund. We have a Marine Science Center. We were just in Tallahassee talking to the legislature. It doesn't look good, so please feel free.
Any more comments? All right, we'll move right along to comments from board members. I'll start it off very quickly. I have a few things that I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention. Number one is Dr. Vitito here? Stan, thank you for having us this morning. As usual, it's a great site. You've done a good job. And if anybody, I'm sure wants, any of the board members or anybody else would like to take a tour of the campus, Stan will have somebody do that, take you around. I've done that, and I'm telling you, you'll be impressed with the way that the campus runs. Just stay out of the library until we get it rebuilt, because I think it's gonna fall soon, but we're working on it. All right, thank you, Stan. Thank you, Dr. Vitito. J.C. Brock, where are you, J.C.? What class? We had another public safety class to come out this last week. How many was that?
The number of class,
Yeah,
186 began on Monday.
all right.
So that was 183 or 4.
So we're graduating more police officers, sheriffs, so on and so on, and he's doing a great job with that. Dr. Williams, where are you? Congratulations on being one of the distinguished women by Academy Prep in the last week or so. And we're so proud of you. And it's finally here. Midtown celebration or groundbreaking is March the 1st. I think all of us are happy about that and ready to move it forward. So it's at March the 1st at 10 a.m. was the reception, so all come. And where's Dr. Gordon? Is he here?
Back here.
Thank you. He invited me to the back-to-school celebration down at the Midtown campus, and it was a great showing, and a lot of people showed up, so thank you for inviting me to that. And that's it for me, Mr. President. Any other board members have any comments or they'd like to share over the month?
Mr. Chairman, I have one that I'd like to share. I guess several meetings ago, you asked me to put together a report on the, I'll just pass it down.
Okay.
On the Midtown selection process, contractor selection process. And I put that together, and I won't read through the whole thing, but it kind of outlines in general the rules that we have to operate by, both from a legal standpoint, but then also the process that we used with the two distinct processes, one used for the screening to really screen out the less qualified firms, if you will. And then also the selection process that we used once we had selected the firms to come in and provide presentations on their firms and what they've done before. But it really kind of goes through kind of the second round of process that we went through. And I think is really something that we should use going forward with projects like Midtown to select the contractors going forward.
Dr. Law, your comments?
Yeah, no, I thank you very much. The report does outline, I think with both a mix of specificity and overview, the step-by-step approach that will keep us in line with the many different parts of Florida statute, while at the same time preserving the rights of both the president and the board to make decisions in our own best interest. So I think Mr. Oliver's contribution and working through patiently with the process when we had to redo it, you have the fruits of that in front of you today, and I'm delighted for it.
One other thing, Mr. Chairman, I just want to say, my thanks to Mr. Wechter and Mr. Duncan as we went through this process. Very instrumental also with legal staff, with making sure that we did follow the rules. It really a key part of this whole process.
Thank you, Dr. Law and Trustee Oliver. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. This is one of the areas where we all thought we could get better, and we had some experience, a little experience with Mr. Oliver in his past and present life in terms of building. What I would ask is that each board member digest this report for the next month or so, and then we can have Dr. Law bring back any necessary changes that you all may see. But I would like to have this approved as a policy for the board moving forward in terms of construction projects. So please digest this, and then we can come back at the appropriate time, and Mr. Oliver can move this forward for us.
Okay.
I think we'll expedite that, Mr. Chairman, because clearly the Clearwater Library falls into the very same thing. It's a community project. It's a carbon copy of this one. So that's the next one. We need to be about our business to get that done. So we'll bring that back in the next month or two, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other board members have any comments? Good morning, Ms. Bello. None? All right, we'll move forward to approval of the minutes.
Hold on, I have a
Oh,
short.
I'm sorry, Mr. President, I passed you, I'm sorry.
Is somebody going to fire up my video?
Okay.
Mine is a report. Hold on, before you hit the button, I just wanted you to show, this is the Learning Center at Tarpon Springs, our newly opened Science Learning Center. Are you ready? On Sunday afternoon between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock. I just wanted you to see the student response to this initiative by Dr. Carney and his team. Go ahead and run it, please. Well, the best laid plans, we'll re-tee it up. Thank you. There's about 25 or 30 students in the lab on a Sunday afternoon getting help for their science courses. And I think Confleet and his team have taken our Learning Center approach and just expanded it in ways that make enormous difference for our students. So, Confleet, I want to say thanks. I know that some of your faculty members were instrumental in it, and I see Dr. Chapin's fine hand in some of this as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Law. And thank you, Dr. Carney, and your staff for doing a great job. But I will tell you, Dr. Law, you and your staff should be commended, all the staff, right down to the folks that make sure that our campuses are clean, and making sure that we're student-focused and centered. And that's what this is about. And they're utilizing the services. I mean, we're back on track and doing the things that we're supposed to be doing, so. Any more, Dr. Law? If we can get the
You
video.
can fry the egg on my forehead now if you want. Yeah, all right.
If you can get the video, we'll look at it at some point if you guys can get it up. I needed a motion to approve the minutes for for the January meeting.
So moved.
It's been moved and second. All signify by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposing. We're on to our monthly reports. The board attorney. Hi, Mr. Lang. How are you today?
I'm doing fine, Mr. Chairman. No report.
Okay. Miss
Suzanne Gardner.
Gardner.
Good
I went
morning.
blank for a
No
second,
report.
Suzanne. All right. Dr. Mercadante. Good morning. How are you?
Morning, Mr. Chair. How are you?
Good.
Members of the board, Dr. Law, I'm Rich Mercandante from the Faculty Senate. I'd just like to take a couple of minutes to update you on some recent activities of the Faculty Governance Organization. I'm pleased to report that faculty continue to join with administration in a collaborative effort to improve student success. Let me offer two most recent examples. Since September, faculty have been involved with the Collaborative Committee on Improving Faculty Evaluation. Now, this committee has been co-chaired by Dean Martha Campbell and our FGO Tarpon Springs Chair, Professor Heather Roberson. The committee includes all the deans and about 24 faculty members, and the focus is on making improvements to our already robust faculty evaluation process, which you'll hear about a little bit more in a few minutes from Dr. Cooper. The ultimate goal is to make sure that faculty are receiving the necessary feedback they need to increase their professional development and to improve their performance as educators. Secondly, faculty have also been working with the administration on our online revitalization process, and several dozen faculty have worked on a variety of committees that have generated suggestions for improving online education. This summer, about 100 faculty members will participate in a pilot program that will help ease our transition from the current software we use for our learning management system, Angel, to our new platform known as Desire to Learn, or D2L. So we have an impressive number of faculty who are on the cutting edge of educational technology, and I think these faculty members will be essential to helping us make a smooth transition. Finally, I'd like to mention that FGO is currently taking nominations for retired faculty who may be deserving of the honor of Faculty Emeriti. Back in the spring of 2011, FGO reinstated the Professor Emeritus Honorary Program with the approval of Dr. Law. Each year, our new Professor Emeriti recipients are honored at the annual Fall Faculty Welcome Back held in August. The rank of Professor Emeritus is awarded to exceptional members of the faculty who have met the following criteria. They are retired or have confirmed retirement date with HR. They have shown excellence in teaching. They provide a minimum of 10 years of instruction at SBC. They've served for at least 25 years as an educational professional. They've made significant contributions to the body of knowledge within their discipline, and they've offered service to the college, the community, and professional discipline based upon length of service and degree of contribution. The process involves an application which is due by April 18th. Candidates go through a process that involves a faculty selection committee, then they need approval from the FGO Senate, then it goes up to Dr. Cooper, and finally approval from Dr. Law. A link to the application has been sent to all current full-time faculty and will be made available to the SBC community at large through the Blue and White very shortly. I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions, board members?
All set. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mercadante.
Thank you.
Strategic planning and strategic priorities. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, trustees, President Dr. Law. My name is Diana Sabino, and I'm pleased to present to you this morning the marketing plan for the 2014-2015 fiscal year. As outlined during our strategic planning session, we have a college-wide goal to increase enrollment by 3% per year for the next 3 years. This presentation is a marketing component to that plan, and it includes two main areas of focus: to increase new inquiry generation and to increase applications. We have intentionally made strategic changes to marketing with a focus on both traditional and digital. There are a lot of details in the grid, which has just been passed out for you. It outlines our strategies for the fiscal year by each quarter, as well as for each channel and target audience. Here are a few of those initiatives. Our fall campaign will focus on our programmatic bachelor's degrees, as well as introduce our many fully online programs. We've always marketed ourselves at the associate degree level, but not with an area of interest approach that's been packaged up to the 4-year degree. It includes both credit and non-credit. So here's an example of one of the radio spots that will begin next month.
At St. Petersburg College, we're more than just a college in the community. We are the community. Our graduates are people you meet every day. And with over 20 bachelor's degrees offered a fraction of the cost of state universities, you'll earn your degree for less money than you think. So become one of the police officers, firefighters, teachers, IT professionals, nurses, and business leaders, all who made the smart choice with a bachelor's degree from St. Petersburg College. Apply at spcollege.edu. Your journey starts here, and it starts now.
This is generic spot. We'll have 3 spots in total, and 2 others will be focused on fields, IT, and health primarily. And here's our revised media buy, which is also in the back of the packets as well. We've just revised our buy to obtain more frequency and to be on targeted stations that match our demo. We've worked directly with the radio station reps, have received 15% agency discount, and we're getting endorsement spots by Allie on Wild 94.1 and Veronica on 99.5. We're going to be on during the drive times of 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. for a total of 952 spots per month, which is a lot more volume than we've had in the past. I apologize. Our Google Analytics shows us that we have high traffic for branded terms such as St. Petersburg College, SPC, St. Pete College. These are usually visitors that have done their research and therefore are lower in the sales funnel, ready to take action. So with this knowledge, we're getting ready to put a request for information form on our homepage. And it will be the first step of getting information into a business intelligence at the inquiry level for us to be able to make better data-driven decision-making. We became a four-year degree-granted institution a number of years ago, but we continue to market ourselves as an associate degree two-year college. So we intend to rebrand in order to align with our values, such as student success, workforce, and to position ourselves as a four-year institution. We're working on the details of a campaign right now that will automatically accept high school graduates, early college, and associate's degree graduates into St. Petersburg College, and we're planning to promote a direct mail piece for this. YouTube, it's the second largest search engine right now, and it has a wealth of people searching for how-to videos for knowledge. Full Sail has recently leveraged this by putting how-to videos out there based on an area of interest approach related to programs that they offer. Full Sail also allows you to download the video assets of their video in exchange for your contact information. So through a similar approach, we're looking to position ourselves as an authoritative source on education and training while empowering our faculty and staff to be content contributors. And one of our biggest brand pillars is our Success Initiative. We created the collegeexperience.com website as a way to explain the 5 facets of the college experience to our students. We've had great success with this. Within the first 36 hours of launch, we noted 6 to 30 people viewing the site at all times. We noticed visitors clicking through the entire site, and we also saw highest than ever viewing from a mobile device at 45%. Next, our prospects need to know about it. Free tutoring the fact that we offer free tutoring is one of a great selling points for the college. And I'm going to share with you a glimpse, of what the student experiences right now when they come to the collegeexperience.com site.
From the moment you walk through our doors, either in person or online, you will have the support you need to succeed at St. Petersburg College. Hi, I'm Kevin Pace, a student here at SPC and your guide to the college experience. What is the college experience, you ask? Well, you're about to find out. We have 5 short sections to review with you on tools to help you succeed. After watching the video in each section, you can advance to the next tab. This entire guide will take about 5 minutes to review, so let's get started. Go ahead and click the arrow to move to the next section.
And so as they go through, it goes through all of the 5 components of the college experience, and they can see testimonials from other students, as well as infographics that show the success rate. Our new direct link site will also allow us to deliver news and information that's accessible in the ways that our audience wants to receive it. The mobile-friendly, responsive site will replace the blue and white and the other multiple channels that users can obtain SPC news today. The site will allow us to have greater engagement with our audience through personalized video responses and live social media feeds. Our next area of focus then is to increase the conversion of inquiries to applications through an enhanced database marketing process. We need to change our model from being completely direct response to being on-demand and to communicate with our various types of prospective and current students in personalized ways in which they want to be communicated with. We will implement process plans, and there is also an outline of this process plan in the very back of the booklet as well. The process plan will be implemented for each stage of the sales funnel, and it outlines the messages, timing, and methods of communication in order to encourage action through the funnel. It includes phone calls, response times, emails, direct mail, digital components that occur from day 1 through 90 throughout the inquiry application process. This also gives us greater ability to track performance of the conversion through the process and report on our progress. Finally, all of this will be establishing a foundation for a customer relationship management system, which will allow us to intuitively automate, target our campaigns, as well as monitor for performance optimization. As mentioned, all of the details can be found in the grid. It will be a living, breathing document on SharePoint that all can access as we involve our internal stakeholders, our student focus groups, to ensure that our work is not done in a vacuum. And that concludes my presentation, if there are not any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Sabino, very good report.
Thank you.
Any comments from board members, questions?
Just one comment. Very well done. Very impressed. A lot of work in a short period of time. So congratulations to you and Dr. Law, because it's one area that I criticized about 18 months ago, and it looks like it's well on its way to being a beacon for the college. Great plan.
Any other board members' comments?
That's a nice job.
Thank you very much.
I'm interested to see how we capture that information like Full Sail. That's a pretty big deal.
Can I take just one
Sure.
second? Diane has helped us really focus our thinking and then focus our execution. What you see today is the inquiry to application process. We're currently at 41% throughput. That's incredibly low. If you can double that and you actually get that much increase in applications, you then have the next round of engagement with students who make it all the way through. But I think Diane's new eyes looking at it, we found out you went down a lot of dead-end trails, you didn't get the information needed without a lot of extra work. So we've really streamlined that. We've given ourselves some tasks to really measure how that works. We will be bringing back to you the second part, which is the application to registration process improvement, to make sure that once a student actually applies, that once again, we have streamlined and provided support for students all the way through to the registration process. So we're kind of taking it at each step of the way. We're realigning. Some people are being redeployed from one part of the organization to Diana's organization because their work really is the inquiry to application engagement, and to dare I say, the sales part of the organization now has a sales team, so that makes sense to us. So we'll continue to share with you. We have metrics at every step of the way. We think that we can change the throughput in a consistent way, and we'll let you know how it works. It's fundamental. We'll also bring you the overall program plan to grow the enrollment, but without this, the other wouldn't make any difference at all. So we're ready to go. This is kicked off. We're good to go on this one.
Is digital someplace else, or is it, I mean, I don't see any digital in here. I see a lot of radio and no digital. So I'm just curious, is that in a different place?
The digital components are all outlined in the grid for what we're implementing. There's a lot of digital that we're doing. The current media buy right now is radio. We have a lot of contracts in place still throughout the end of the year for our billboards. We're looking at proposing different budget with the budget planning process. But I think we need to really set the foundation, as we discussed recently as well, before we look at how we're going to pull in the inquiries and how we're going to track them and where we're going to go to reach the right target, get the best ROI. So for right now, we are doing traditional, yes, for this fall campaign. We're implementing new digital strategies, as you can see within the grid. A lot of what should be done within the first quarter, including the direct link, the college experience has been done, the request for information form on the website. And then from there, we'll keep working on a complete new website and other initiatives in the social arena.
So these are contractual obligations, basically, is what you're saying? Okay.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you, Ms. Sabina. Job well done.
Thank you.
You and Dr. Long. We're under student success and achievement. I know there's nothing there, but did you guys get that video up? Okay, let's watch that video under that.
Okay, so you're gonna take that and multiply by 3.26 Did you finish your book?
Somebody sent that to me from the lab. There's 24 students there, and as I always say, what were they doing before we provided these services? Okay, so Sunday afternoon, not everybody wants to be washing their car on the driveway. It seems like a lot of students want to do something else. We're making great strides with the learning centers, and I appreciate that effort. Wanted to share that. Great success.
All right. Budget and finance, how you doing this
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, a little better that it ran. Oh, Diana did something right, though. Hers worked. The financial report, you can see this is getting fairly repetitive in the sense that, you know, our revenues are down a little bit, but we've done a good job keeping spending in line with the revenue. I did want to point something out on the revenue side in particular. At this point in the year, we're going in to the last 5 months, and if you look up at the student tuition line, you see that we've received about 80% of our tuition. So we really just have tuition revenue that will be for the summer term, so a fairly small portion of that. But if you go a little bit further down and look at the state appropriation for lottery, you'll see we've had more and more money being distributed in the lottery pot, and year to date, we've only received about 2 million of that. So we have about 10 million more in lottery funds coming between now and the end of the year. So while we have a drop in the tuition, we're going to have it's going to be boosted quite a bit by the additional, the 10 million in lottery revenue that will come in. Everything else, though, is on track to get us through the end of the year. I think we're looking good. I want to ask, Jamel, do you want to go ahead?
I just want to,
Okay.
again, for new board members, we're going, some things you'll get to know them, but I'm taking just an extra second. Lottery, they front end the commitments to Bright Futures out of lottery revenues first, and then they fund the ongoing budget responsibilities second. So it always lags, but we watch it pretty closely. For them to be only at 17% of their annual payment through January or February, they owe us a bunch of money, and it always shows up, but it shows up late in the year. So don't keep an eye on it as you read the budget sheet every month. We say it always shows up. It doesn't always show up.
Yeah, we think it will. Jamel Connor is going to come up and give you some very preliminary revenue estimates for next year. This is sort of baseline where we think we'll be starting the budget process. And Jamel, you want?
Good morning.
Good morning, Jamel.
Today I wanted to give you some preliminary revenue estimates that we're looking at for the 14-15 year. When we're looking at the overall college budget, it actually includes several different funds. And the simplest way to explain the different funds is it's based on different types of funding sources that we have, and then that drives how we can spend it. So just to quickly walk you through the different funds that we have that we'll be talking about as we work through the budget process. First is the general operating budget. This is funded primarily from student tuition and fees, as well as our state appropriations, and is used to drive the basic operations of the college. This is the budget that Dr. Duncan brings to you every month and gives you an update on. The restricted fund, we are given money for very specific purposes, and so we keep those funds separated. Those are your grants that we receive, and then also our student activities budget is in there. The money that we get from student activity fees are placed in that budget, and what you'll see is that's where the budget for the student government associations that we have on each campus are allocated budgets each year that they can spend. Auxiliary budget are sources of revenue that are outside our tuition and fees and our state appropriations. They have little to no restrictions on them. Some examples would be monies we get from the bookstore, from vending services, from excess broadband royalties that we make, and then we use those funds for specific purposes, such as jobs for students on campus, and then also the textbook credit that the board has previously approved for students in the past. Our financial aid and scholarship funds run through Fund 5. And then last would be our construction and maintenance budget. So that's our capital outlay budget. It's funded from student capital improvement fees, and then any specific state appropriations that we may get for any buildings. All of these different budgets you will see as we work through the budget process up to the final date in May. Today, what I'd like to focus on is our Fund 1 general operating budget preliminary revenues. So when we look at our recurring operating budget, this slide shows our 13-14 budget and then our preliminary estimate for 14-15. What it includes is for student tuition and fees, and all of those fees that are tied to enrollment. They're based on current flat enrollment to our current 13-14 year. So you'll see somewhat of a decline in those lines. Then you'll have our state appropriations. That's based on the governor's budget we received, and so those monies are really going to change by the end of the budget cycle up at the state for what we're going to get. But you can see our community college program fund year over year right now, based on the governor's budget, goes down about $2 million. Our lottery actually goes up about $300 or $400, and then now we have this new performance funding. The governor provides $40 million for community college appropriation to that. And when you look at the initial criteria and the calculations, we're estimating for St. Petersburg College about $2.7 million. So that's offsetting what we're seeing with the flat enrollment right now. So what you see is a pretty flat revenue budget year over year. But again, this does not include the 3% enrollment growth plan that we're currently working on. And very briefly, as we're talking of tuition and fees, I just wanted to show you a chart of our projected 14 and 15 fees against the maximum fees that the state allows us to charge. So there is some flexibility within those fees in the areas of tuition, student activities, financial aid, and technology, $5.66 in lower division and $3.30 for upper division.
Mr. Chairman, can I take a second here? This is fundamental background. Let me just put a little bit of flavor to it. The legislature sets what they call a standard fee for state colleges. You as a board can be 10% above or 15% below or 15% above and 10% below. Okay, so there's a range that the colleges can be in when you make your own determination. We are at $80.94. The maximum at that range would be $85.26. So you have the capacity, absent the political dialogue, to raise tuition to $85.26. Okay, just these are just technical points. The activity and service fee is tied to tuition, so the maximum you can charge is 10% of that. We charge $7.63. We don't link those. The students have to justify their cost, but they get a good budget. Financial aid fee, it was the decision of this board to move fees to where they were at the maximum allowable, so 5% of tuition. You see there's a little bit of additional catch-up there. The technology, same way. The capital improvement fee, when the legislature ran out of PICO money 2 or 3 years ago, their response was to say, instead of 10% of tuition, let that run to 20% of tuition so that colleges and universities could generate some additional capital fees, but you could not raise your fee more than $2 a year. Once again, the board, when it made that choice, indicated that it would take the step-by-step process to raise us to where we are sitting at the permissible maximum over time, so that we would go up. So that in the end, when we get it all done and when all the dust settles, when you make a tuition decision, you've really made all the subsequent decisions as well. They're just going to increment very generally as the tuition increases. So you see where we are. Last year, this board put in the learning support access fee, which supported the growth of our learning centers, helped us with some of the personnel costs and all of the outreach to fund the college experience plan. So we put that fee in last year. So that's where we find ourselves now. There are restrictions. If it's not in tuition, activity and service must be spent for those things. Financial aid is a pass-through, must be given directly to students in the form of financial aid. My only point is, within what you agree to, there are a lot of subparts, and I don't want anyone, again, with new board members, I want you to have the best information you can as to what happens when you make a decision. We're not recommending anything here. This is just the structure of what you approve annually. For the baccalaureate level, the numbers are a little different, and some of the dynamics are a little different. The legislature sets that tuition, and I didn't realize, to be perfectly honest, I didn't realize we had flexibility within that as well to either execute or not. Why we're not sitting, for a long time it was everybody had the same number, and now I notice it's not, so I have to be reminded as to how we got there. But other than that, they're 5% of tuition, 10% of tuition, whatever it is, and you see there's really autopilot for those things. So that's just the framework, Jamel, thank you. If you know, how did we get different for baccalaureate, do you recall?
What happened was at the tail end of the budget process, at the last minute, there was some understanding at the state level that you could possibly go up to this 9454. We decided to stay politically at the 9179.
If you read the lobby tools, whatnot, literally this week, the legislature, if they appropriate a budget and the governor vetoes it, tuition can go up by inflation. So they had that big go-round at the end of the session last year where the governor vetoed a tuition increase, and the university was saying, well, then we'll go up by inflation, and he was saying, no, no, no. No means no, no increase. So that's the inflated amount from last year, but nobody's doing that. Everyone's doing $91.79, okay. That's the framework for tuition and fees, and again, I'm trying to give background. We have a lot of new board members and some people doing it. You may have even done it once, but twice. Jamel, I've cut you off, please.
No.
Maybe questions or
Just any
comments?
questions?
I see people making notes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Giselle.
All right, so this is the framework. As the governor changes his recommendation, as we get legislative committee input, as we finish our enrollment growth plan, we'll build that sheet to represent those decisions or that update as we go forward, and you can then see what funds are available. We'll then marry the budget proposals to available revenues over time, okay? So we'll bring two together over the next 3 or 4 months. Thank you.
Good morning again. Before I show you the details of the transition finance plan, I asked Dr. Cooper to provide, if she could provide some detail on some of the transitional components of the plan that are included within it. And after that, I asked Jamel to then give you a little background on the distance learning fee, which is the primary source of revenue for this transition plan. So with that, Ann.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Law, good morning.
Good morning.
It is my pleasure to bring to you the next step in our online revitalization process. What we have here for you is an aggressive plan for training our faculty as well as migrating our courses over into our new learning management system, Desire to Learn, or D2L, as we like to refer to it. This training will involve 12 hours of hands-on training that will be presented by our instructional design specialist team. They will take place on the campuses, so access will be available to all faculty. They then will have open lab times of about 6 hours, so faculty can come in while an instructional design specialist is present to assist them with any questions that they might have as they migrate their course or continue to set their course up before it goes live in the following semester. And then for those who are interested in using the advanced tools within the Desire to Learn learning management system, there'll be another 6 hours of training. And as you can see, we have quite a large number of courses and a large number of faculty, full-time as well as adjuncts, that need to be trained. Now, these include not just our online courses, but also our blended and our face-to-face instructors, because all instructors use the learning management system at least to post their syllabus, their grades, as well as the link to our student survey of instruction. Many of them use it for many more things, and we're very pleased, but obviously this is going to require quite a lot of training. There are over 3,000 almost 3,000 courses that will need to be addressed in this process. We also want to make sure that in addition to the training on the Desire to Learn tools, that faculty also have an opportunity for additional training in regards to pedagogy associated with best practices in online learning. So what you have here are 4 different levels of certifications that faculty will have the opportunity to acquire. All faculty, as I've said, will do the learning management system competency training that I've just presented to you. Then for those faculty who will be teaching a blended or an online course that's already in place, in other words, they're not going to be developing it, it's already in place, they will not only do the Desire to Learn competency training, but they'll also do additional pedagogical training in teaching online or blended, as well as different elective that will be available to them, and then other in regards to pedagogy, and then other electives in regards to the use of interactive technologies that they may want to incorporate. Some of these will be available through some external options, which are listed at the bottom of the chart for you, because we want to give our faculty a menu of opportunities to move this forward. We also recognize that our instructional design specialists will not be able to do it all, and so we want to get ahead of the train, so to speak, and make sure that the faculty who maybe aren't migrating their courses in the first group can be working on their certification and be ready then to migrate their course and move forward. As far as those who are going to be developers of online courses, their certification will require the items that I've said before, and in addition then, another training in regards to developing online and blended courses. And then finally, we'll have a group who are certified as online reviewers to evaluate the quality of the courses that we are putting out there and to make sure that they are achieving the standards. And we'll be using a Quality Matters rubric and a peer review process, and so there will be an additional training for those individuals. So it's an aggressive plan. There's a lot of training. But we feel that this will get us to the next level in regards to the quality of our online instruction and ensure that all of our courses achieve that standard. So the process will be one where they're moving it over into the new learning management system. Obviously, they need to have that training first. Then once it's in the new learning management system, faculty will have a certain amount of time to bring it up to the standard that we feel is imperative if we are to continue to be a leader in online education in Florida and in the nation. And there will be an ongoing certification process for our faculty as well. Any questions? Now, in addition to the training plan and the migration process, as I presented to you last time, there are some new positions that will help get us there. And Doug and Jamel are going to talk a little bit about that when they address the budget. Thank you.
Good morning again. So as we're looking at the possibility of being able to finance the online revitalization plan with distance learning fee, a little background on that fee. Florida statute allows us to charge the distance learning fee. The main points are that the costs that are associated with that fee can only be costs that are above and beyond what you would spend in a normal classroom. So an example that you couldn't charge would be for instruction. You couldn't charge the cost of the instructors for distance learning under this fee. The second piece would be that when you determine what the fee should be, you shouldn't charge anything more than the actual cost of the service that's being provided. The distance learning fee was instituted beginning with the FY 10-11 year. That was the first time also that we instituted it. We have not changed the fees. They have not increased in this 4-year period. However, you can see that our revenues that have been generated by them each year have been fairly consistent. This is for 2 reasons. One is that we have had a transition of students, even though there's been an enrollment decline, to online courses. And then also some of that transition has been into the baccalaureate side with the online growth, and that has a somewhat higher fee than the lower division distance learning fee. So as part of our online revitalization plan proposal, what we propose is that over the next 2 years, there would be a $2 increase each year in the fee, and that would begin in spring of each year. It would only be applied to fully online courses. And the impact to students, when you look at how many students take an online course in any semester, for fall and spring, that's a little over 17,000 students. And in comparing our distance learning fee across the community college system, I've placed up there the colleges that we've captured the learning fee that the distance learning fee that they are charging. You can see on the low side, Seminole State College charges $5.70 per credit hour. Chipola College is on the high end at $30 per credit hour. So we're relatively in the middle. If you look down to the far right, you'll notice North Florida and Florida Keys. They're slightly different. Their $35 and $75 fees are per course. They're not set per credit hour, so that's why they didn't include them as the high. And then Dr. Duncan's going to come and give you the details of the plan.
Thank you. Essentially, what will happen over the next couple of years is we will be running a parallel system. We will maintain the Angel system while we're bringing in the Desire to Learn system, and so we'll have some overlapping costs. What I've tried to do in this budget is distinguish between those that are recurring, which primarily relate to the Desire to Learn. So all the resources that will be going forward in the future are in the recurring column. The non-recurring column includes those things that we've projected as only being needed for the next 2 years in order to get primarily what Dr. Cooper talked about is the training, some of the support to help faculty, the mentoring program, and so on. What will happen based on the revenue that we will generate in the first year, we will end up with about $640,000. We will need to take out of our fund balance about $640,000 to fund that first year of the non-recurring portion of the budget. In the second year, the non-recurring costs start to go down a little bit. The Angel license goes down in the second year, and that's the biggest cost. We also, since this will be a hosted environment that we're doing in D2L, it's going to be hosted outside the college. A number of our hardware, our server leases will begin to expire, and we do not need to replace those. So those are your primary areas where we'll see a reduction in that second year. Essentially, it will add only about 11,000 to that initial 640 in the second year. After the second year, though, those non-recurring costs are projected to cease, and we will only be funding then at that point the recurring costs. At that point, we will be in a position to pay back the 640,000, and we'll have a little balance left over. And then going forward, the plan is to make this really a true first-class program. We need to continue to look at the student success variables to use that 697 will become recurring revenue going forward that we can use to provide other necessary support to our online program. That sums it up. Questions?
Any questions,
Doug.
board members?
Just as a refresher, how long have we been on the Angel system for the distance learning?
Gosh, it's been at least 10 years.
10 years?
Okay, so yeah, about 10 years.
Okay. And the new system, does it have a predicted end of life or when we'll have to go through this again, or is it a perpetual machine that we won't ever have to?
Well, there's a lot of things that we do, furniture and all that. I wouldn't necessarily say that, but with technology, right now it looks great. It's a wonderful system.
Yeah.
It has many features that Angel doesn't, but probably 3-4 years from now, I'm sure there'll be a whole new. So I think we have to kind of keep our eyes open on that.
Yep.
Well,
I have a
just one
question.
side.
What percentage of our courses that we're teaching are online currently?
Of course, I know our enrollment's about 40. Do you?
Our enrollment's about 40%, and we have 1,546 online courses.
About 36%. It's about 36%.
And then by comparison, for example, Seminole State College, what is their percentage? And I'm just trying to get an idea of where we compare to the other colleges. Are we high, are we middle, are we low, and what we're offering?
I don't have all the detail on it, but I'll be happy to.
Well, we
get it
are
and bring it back.
way.
We're way up,
This
I
is
know.
an area where we are by far the largest. If you, Doug, go back just a couple, just so I can get a couple things. For instance, I always calibrate against Miami-Dade. They are 3 times bigger than we are. But I will tell you, we have half again as many distance learning courses as they have. We are by far, 10% of all the distance learning in the Florida college system is done through St. Petersburg College, okay? And we have 3% of the enrollment in the system. So this is an area of great strength. We've been in the forefront. As you know, staying in the forefront is the challenge we're on today. But this is big stuff. This is, Jamel helped me out. It was 250,000 semester hours a year, right? 100,000 each semester and 50 in the summer in round numbers.
Any more questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, let me see if I can put a bow on it, and I did have a chance to talk to board members. I'm incredibly proud of the work we are. We are in first place on this, but it is not just where you stand compared to the other Florida college system. This is the state of the art in education. So you're competing against, all of the big names. And why would a student take us? Well, we have to give them a reason to do that. The technology has to work. 2 or 3 things that I assessed as weaknesses in our program are addressed in this plan, and that's where we'll need some resources going forward. major commitment to the continuous retraining and strengthening of faculty as they do this. Our early adopters did a fantastic job, but they're early adopters. They get it, and they're willing to do things kind of on their own dime. But as an organization, if we're going to do 40% of the credit hours this way, we have to have a plan to continue to move forward. Our team has done that. Secondly, the commitment to student success was modest, and that's a euphemism for I couldn't find any. We have done tremendous good work on the face-to-face, and we are in the process, and by the time you get to the final budget, we will show you how we are morphing that into support for online. I reviewed with Tanja and Patrick Renard just yesterday a plan to do that forward, so that student success will have the kind of support we need. And then, Mr. Oliver, I have started to say, this is a consumable, so let's not put ourselves back in this situation 4 or 5 years from now. Let's plan for the renewal and replacement, just like you would with any other asset that's going to devalue over time. You believe when you're making a big purchase like this that you're buying an appreciating asset like a home, well, like we used to believe about homes. And in fact, it is a declining asset, and like a car, and you have to replace it every so often. I think it's a first-rate plan. You know, I'm very proud of it. I think my team has done a really good job. You see the values that underlie the commitment, and I'm happy to have the board's questions, comments, insights.
Any more comments, board members? Dr. Law, let me just say, in business, you have to compete, and I think this is a way for us to compete in the future. You're right. We're going to be competing against other educational institutions that are outside of Florida and inside the state of Florida. And if we transition and do this right, we could be the leader nationally as it relates to online courses. But we have to do it right, and I think this is the first step to making sure that we're doing it in the right path. Union staff should be commended on coming up with a strategy to do this. I think what's most important is that you've not lost that student-centered approach. As we move forward, we're still trying to figure out how to keep students to be successful, even in online courses. So if there are no other comments from board members, this is an action item. I would need a motion to accept item C3.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? None signify. All signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We'll move on to administrative matters. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you
Law.
very much.
Human Resources. We have a presentation on contracts with the faculty review. The review process and highlights for the faculty.
Good morning again. It's my pleasure and my honor to bring to you the recommended list of our faculty who are being recommended for renewal of annual contract, as well as those that are being recommended to move to continuing contract. Just wanted to begin by giving you a little picture of where we are today with total number of faculty. We have 372. 260 of those are on continuing contract, and we reviewed 88 for annual contract this year and 24 for continuing contract. The president and I are always impressed when we first meet the new faculty during the hiring process with the excellence in their background. At least 80% of them already have college classroom teaching experience, and those who don't, who are coming out of industry or the healthcare field, have at least done clinical training or some type of workforce training. So they've all had some type of teaching experience. And we are always grateful for how we attract the best in the field. Now, as part of the review process for the recommendations, it begins with the faculty themselves pulling data and documentation in regards to what they've been doing, in regards to participating in out-of-class support. They also report on what they've been doing to serve the college by being on committees, working within their campus. They might be an advisor for a club or a student organization. They also then will report on what professional development they've completed over the last year. And then they'll also, with their dean, plan for their professional development going forward in the coming year. We think that the evaluation process has to be tied to their growth plan. We want all of our faculty continuing to grow professionally, and so we feel that this helps to endorse that. That's also why we added the $1,500 over a 2-year period for their staff and professional development that they can use in whatever way they see fit. Then they provide data in regards to their student survey of instruction and as well as their student success rate within their courses. This is then reviewed with the dean, and the dean will add information about how they have been observed either in the virtual classroom or in the face-to-face classroom, and any additional comments that the dean might have. Then the deans will meet with Dr. Law and myself to present their recommendations and documentation associated with the recommendations for their faculty, and then they return to the faculty member with feedback. I just wanted to share some highlights of some of the